Sorry.
With that being said, we are all social distancing still, despite what we've seen our colleagues do on social media. And we're still going to give you this dope content. But big shout out to everybody that listened to the Boys Talk last week. Y'all ran those numbers up. Really appreciate y'all. Mike had a lot to say. We talked about Insecure, all of that jazz, and it was a great pod. So most appreciated to y'all. I hope y'all run up the numbers for this one because I got some questions for our guest today.
We have VIP guests, very special guests.
This guest was supposed to be on this platform, I believe, 2 years ago. I might be wrong, but I believe it's 2 years ago.
If it was 2 years ago, then what happened, Quake? That doesn't add up to me. What happened, bro?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, her line of work made it challenging for her to be present and available for more than a certain amount of time. I cannot confirm nor deny this, but I will have her confirm or deny it. But I believe it was 2 years ago, maybe 3. She wrote a book. I actually purchased the book. I read the book. I just can't find where I put the book. But I will say it was a very nice book. And I will say that because I don't read handbooks. Usually when I have handwritten books, I fall asleep. But I actually read this book. And I'm so happy that this author is now here after 2 years, even though it's not in person, because, we the Africanists, we like to do our pods in person. We like the in-person interaction, but, because, again, we are responsibly social distancing, we can't make it happen. But ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce author of Worth the Wahala, Mrs. Borley. I think, is it Quake? That
might be an Africanist first of someone that provided their own applause, their own check. Ha!
I got so excited. Sorry.
Mrs. Borley is all the way from
Ohima.
Georgia.
Actually.
Am I supposed to do my tagline? I don't have one, so
You can say hi again.
Hey everyone, I'm so excited to be here. I feel like this is a huge honor. First of all, to set the record straight, you guys were dodging me for a few years. I've been trying to get up in the Africanist pod, stalking y'all on the gram, trying to like all y'all's pictures. And basically, y'all got bored for Corona. Then y'all decided to ask me to come. My prayers have been answered, but that's just to clear that up. You know what I'm saying?
I think that our DM evidence would provide otherwise, but we wouldn't have to go that into that. We won't have to.
I just want to, Borley, if you could just confirm, I reached out to you via DM, yes? Or?
I think so, but I really don't remember.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. But the person that asked us to reach out to you, her name is Nicole. So I was wondering, how did you meet Nicole?
So Nicole's a wedding planner.
Yes.
And I met her at a wedding. I think it might have been the first wedding that she ever did.
Okay.
I was actually was that the same? I think, yeah. So I think I was like the wedding MC.
Okay.
And so we're both Ghanaian, so I think we just hit it off, and we were, I guess because she saw that, I was promoting my book and everything, which was a couple years ago. She said that I would be a good guest to have on the pod. So I was like, oh, I'm so excited to do it. So, yeah. But, I live in Atlanta, so I had to fly in. Every time I had to fly in, y'all were just like, nah, that's not going to work for our schedule. So, dang, I'm going to fly in for y'all. But, it's cool.
She'd be like, I'm in the area, I'm going to be in the area Tuesday between noon and 2:30 p.m. Can y'all make it work? We were like, huh? Does that make sense?
Sorry.
Regardless, thank you for honoring the invite and finally coming on. me and y'all met you in Ghana this past December, or was it January? Whatever the case may be. Finally in person, even though it was like very brief because you had your whole crew with you. That
was the Afoko Adventures.
We're gonna get into all of that. We're gonna get into all of that.
I am sorry, moderator. Sorry.
We're gonna get into all of that. But it was nice to meet you in person. I'll say that much.
It was such
I'm trying to get into this book, shorty. I'm trying to get into this book. You feel me? What's the Wahala? I'm gonna ask a DJ Envy question. For those of you that don't know what, went into what the Wahala and what it's about, give us a little bit of, what prompted you to write that book and, how you came up with the title and what it's about.
Okay, so the book is definitely the bomb for starters. I just want to put that out there. I'm not a writer. I was never like, the one that graduated with, the best grades in the class. I mean, I had honors because, we have African parents. We have to have that, but it wasn't like top, So, but I've always been like a people person. So really, and I talk a lot. So really, I just like talked my way through writing this book. But it's just to empower people to know their worth and never settle for anything less than what they deserve. And I was dating this guy, and we were in Ghana, and basically, and also I've been celibate. So y'all, I've been celibate for 30
I was gonna say there's always a guy involved in everything. There's always a heartbreak.
But like look at Adele. It wasn't really a heartbreak. It was more like I don't know. It was just, So, but yeah, so I've been celibate, and so I was dating this.
But how long did you say?
How long?
My whole life.
Okay, continue.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Wait.
Yeah.
If Febby wasn't muted, you would have heard him say, "Try."
So wait, you're celibate now, or you're
like my whole life
virgin?
Like
She doesn't celebrate her whole life. See how difficult it is for him to comprehend it?
You are doing Mary, the mother of Jesus.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I love.
Okay, yeah, because I'm like celibate. I feel like when you say celibate, you had to have sex at some point
and stop,
and then you stop.
Nah,
not necessarily.
But typically, people use it that way.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, of course.
Okay, continue. I'm sorry. I just needed that clarification.
So basically, like if I'm dating a guy, well, like in the earlier part of my life, the guys that I was dating were not normally celibate. So it was like a clashing. So anyways, this one guy was like, trying to get, it was like, how y'all do. He was like,
I don't know at all.
First of all, you're the first one to know. Just kidding.
Wow. I'm glad he's not here.
But nah, so he was like, Borley, like, I really want to be with you, but I have to be able to like taste the milk before I buy the cow type of thing, That was like his, that was his thing, right? And I remember one day he was like, why are you causing me so much Wahala? And I was like, I'm worth the Wahala. Like, I just remember laughing. I just thought it was so cute, his little accent. And I was like, I'm worth it. Like, what? And so because, like, ever since then, like, it just clicked to me. I was like, there's so many people who don't know their worth. And so they just settle, or they I mean, the guy was really a catch to a lot of people. He would have been like the perfect man to like marry and stuff, but I'm a catch too. So like, it's either, you know what I mean? It's either going to be what it is or what it's not. So yeah, so we had to part ways. However, I just know there's so many people, men and women. It's not like a popular thing to be celibate, to wait till marriage, especially when like, I mean, I think I'm pretty much like a unicorn, right? I mean, I know y'all weren't even anticipating this on the pod today, but like.
Well, I knew this when I read the book, but
Oh, yeah, you did.
My energy is coming back. My energy is coming back now.
She's sparkling your energies.
Please don't come for me. Please don't come for me. But yeah. So
No, this is an interesting talk.
Yeah. So yeah, and my thing is like, I don't want to just date any guy just because he's a virgin or just because like, you know, he's a Christian. Like he has to be top notch, top tier, like, you know what I'm saying? But still like hitting the Heisman on girls for the sake of Jesus. So yeah, so it's difficult, but it's worth it. Osekre!
I don't even think he can hear us yet.
Trying to get his audio together.
Borley, let me ask you a question. Did this guy understand, for him to call your lifestyle choice a Wahala?
Mm-hmm.
Did he understand from the early stages when y'all first started talking, or y'all were figuring stuff out that was the lifestyle you were gonna live, like period?
So actually, when we started talking, I was like very much so. I hadn't like rededicated my life to Christ. I was like still a party girl. Like I've always been a good girl, but I've been like in college and stuff. I was like, I was like a party. You know.
Hey, listen, I know some Spelmanites, okay?
Yeah, exactly. So I was like,
I know you.
Yeah, but then like in 2013, I like dedicated my life to the Lord. I think I stopped drinking for like 2 years straight. Like everything just shifted. So he didn't know, like, you know, it was kind of
like
that was beautiful, Borley. I like your testimony.
Did you hear it?
In 2013, she rededicated her life to God.
Going back.
That was also my year, 2013. Gee.
That was the year of piety.
And that's
I remember.
That's the year I started my own book too. But continue.
That's it. So yeah, so really, the reason why I think this book is great is because it's like talking to me. You know, I wanted to make it fun, like, but then also just tell people. Because another thing is like, in this world, what I think is pushed is like sex, doing things like by any means necessary, like just get money, like no loyalty. I don't know. It's just like it's just like the things that the culture pushes, the things that is like in and what the in crowd are doing. It's just like, I'm not for it. But then also it's like, if you're the only person who believes what you believe and you don't see anyone else like you who's like on your journey, that can be like discouraging. So I just kind of wanted to write the book to encourage people to know you're not the only one out there, and here's some ways that I'm able to do this walk and not settle, you know, in this world. So.
I see. Well, before we proceed to further questions, I just want to let the people of the podcast world know. Brother Ish has joined the podcast as well. You guys know, founder, marketer extraordinaire for the Jollof Fest. Ish, what's poppin', brother?
What up, what up, what up?
And our God brother.
That's right. You guys are familiar with each other. I definitely forgot. Well, this is going to be nice. But well,
no. It's not going to Ish. What time do we send you? And what time is it now, bro?
Yo, you weren't picking up your calls. I was ready and I was calling you and I was like, where is everyone?
My fault. I'm notorious for that. Everybody knows it, man. Everybody.
Well, I got a couple questions for Borley before we get into our, a couple discussions today, and before we even get into the conversation with you. But so Borley, in your book, Worth the Wahala, there's quite a few things that you addressed. And you're dancing and nobody knows what you're dancing to.
Okay, I'm with him anyway.
But there's quite a few things that you addressed, right? And I want to get into it without taking forever. But let's talk about you being Ghanaian. Well, let me confirm this. You're half Ghanaian, half white, yes? I didn't hear you. I think you're muted.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Distracted. Distracted from me.
So growing up, I guess, like, has your mom ever like lived in Ghana, or like how did you embracing your Ghanaian culture happen? Like, was it always heavy? growing up, or is it something that you had to learn on your own?
So like, can y'all hear me?
Now we can.
Yeah.
Loud and clear, unicorn.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so basically, like the house that we grew up in was definitely like a Ghanaian house. I mean, like being in America, obviously, like we went to like a Christian school, so I had a very strong like Christian upbringing. But then also like my dad is like being the head of the household, like the way he raised us, like the way he just like hyped his family and his culture. I remember growing up and not thinking that there were even like prisons in Ghana at all, like because my dad is like so integral and like how he spoke about his father and all his family. I just remember like thinking that like Ghana was just this amazing heavenly place. And then my parents, when we were born, were like they were in medical school. So when my mom I guess in the beginning years, my dad really took on the main caregiver. Like he used to braid our hair. He used to like wrap us up in the African fabric, and like that would be the princess game. So we'd be like, Daddy, can we play princess? So he would like call us like little Ghanaian princesses. And like
see, that's touching.
Beautiful, bro.
He's an amazing. I love my dad. I'm obsessed. And like we had rice and stew pretty much every night. It was either like
Hey!
so yeah. So like yeah. So no, I knew that part, but then also like my mom being American, and then also like my mom has a very small family. So
God
really,
bless your father.
when we talk about family, it's like my dad's family. It's like the family that I really like, know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then my dad is like my dad. When he took me to Ghana, like it was so boring. He never spoke to me in Ghana. Like I remember like when I was in middle school having him try to teach me. We would sit down and try to have lessons. It wouldn't really work. It wouldn't stick because he would only talk on the phone. He never spoke to us. And my dad's very quiet. He doesn't speak that much in general. So like it wasn't until after I went to the Ghana for the first time, he tried to take us all, like there's 5 of us. He tried to take us all like one by one. So when it was my turn to go, I was like 17 or 18 or I think so, yeah. And ever since then, I really enjoyed it because then my cousins were teaching me stuff. It was more like it wasn't like boring, like going to. And I'm from Atlanta, so my dad was like the president of the God Dong Bay Association in Atlanta. So like we would all go to the meetings every Saturday, but they were all speaking God. We had no idea what was going on. So like we definitely grew up around it, but it wasn't like something that we could be like. It wasn't. I don't know how to describe, but I hope I'm giving a good picture. Like when you have 2 African parents, it's a full experience, and when you kind of just grow up in it but then not fully connecting or understanding, it's different. However, like I wouldn't be who I am today without what my dad instilled in me, but with the respect and all that stuff. Yeah. So.
Interesting. Oh, sorry, Femi, you want to say something?
Before I remute myself, I just want to say, this is the essence of life. We look at each other and we want to place each other in categories. Oh, you are not black enough. Oh, you are not this enough. But why? Why? We don't choose our parents. We don't choose what state, what country, what dialect. We don't even tell our parents, hey, speak God to me. Speak English to me. No, we are not in control of these things. Yet, we use these things to place how valuable we are in society. Let's just sit back and think about how dumb that concept is.
Yeah, I think identity is such a complex thing. By the way, beautiful speech, my brother. But identity is such a complex thing. Quick, like us growing up, being born in the USA. Some people, even people back home, some cousins, family members, all that, are surprised to see like how much our culture means to us. Like, how do we land on this place? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So for them, they consider that to be shocking because they're like, oh, Abra-Tret, you American, this and that, da da da. You know what I'm saying? Like the way like a brother like Ish be looking at me. You know what I'm saying? Like Ish, I just playing with you. But
you're prejudiced.
I said that to say,
Wait,
No, I'm saying
what?
to say that it's beautiful to hear that story. That the origination point was really your connection with your father and the way he went about, you know what I'm saying, his business and stuff like that. My mom is gone. My dad is scientist, but I've never even seen a God association. So that's really interesting to me, man. I have to tell my mother.
It's strong in Atlanta. But what you said about the identity is so real because, like, there have been when I went to private school growing up, but then when we moved to South Carolina when I was in middle school, it was public school. And because I talk like this, it was like I either had to decide, am I going to be friends with the black people or the white people? Like it was like only two.
Terrible.
Yeah. And so I decided to be friends with the black people because like I was like, I don't want to have black enemies. At least I'll be friends with them. Like, cause I didn't want to get bullied at that point. But yeah, I mean, they would used to call me white girl, like, you know, make fun of me. So here we are in America, and I'm like considered black because like the white people don't see me as white, and then the black people don't see me as black enough. And then also, if I go to Ghana, they call me Obroni. So I'm Ghanaian.
Not even Abrotrap, Obroni.
So it's like, but you know, and that's why, and this is just a side note, you have to have a strong faith in Jesus Christ or in your know your identity, because I know who I am, whether whoever accepts me or not. I've had people comment to me on Instagram and be like, you'll never be a real African woman, like you're a like, you know what that's what I'm saying. Like people are like, why do you claim your Ghanaian side so hard? I've had African people tell me that. I've had American people be like, you should try to learn some of your mom's dishes. My mom doesn't cook. My dad is the chef in the house. I'll call my dad right now. I called my dad to send a picture of my okra that I made. And he was like, oh, you'll never guess what I'm cooking right now. Same thing in the house. Like to this day, my mom doesn't cook. My dad cooks every single night. So that's what I grew up in.
Is it their business? Is it their business?
But the thing is, it's
are they gonna cash out your mom to cook? Like, what thing be
it's like
Maybe your mom enjoys the food.
Thank you.
She also can't cook, so we eat my dad's food and we enjoy it. But the thing is, like, you'll never be like. And then also, I don't know if you guys can tell, I also take my walk with Christ very seriously. I have people tell me I'm not Christian enough. I mean,
I can't tell, Borley.
Because of what? That has something.
Oh, see, that's a whole nother thing, y'all. You know, the Christian community is one of the most judgmental communities, you know, because they are the, you know, holier than thou, you know. And even Jesus told them, he who is without sin cast the first stone. Eh? We have a bunch of stone casters. But they're flawed.
I'm gonna say, first of all, your dad is the real MVP. I think our next episode needs to be with him. Shout out the cooking, loving, quiet Ghanaian man like that. Shout out. The body's high. But I think one of the most beautiful things about our platform, like one thing we try to really show is that, you know, even with these different experiences, look, Femi and Midi grew up were born in Nigeria. You know what I'm saying? But it's just really to demonstrate that the things we have in common are so much more important than the things that we have that are different. You understand what I'm saying? So we are one family. Come on.
So I want to get into some more details in the book. I mean, you speak about your dad candidly, and you also in the book spoke about how your dad wasn't speaking to you. So what happened?
So basically, I told my dad that I didn't want to be a doctor because both my parents are physicians. And so when I told him, like,
is there any way that you can speak up a little bit? You're getting a little low.
Oh, can you hear me? Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so both my parents are physicians. So like, and you know, my dad told me his one dream was for me to be a doctor. So when I told him that wasn't gonna happen, he was pissed. Like, but it's more so like because you know he doesn't want to be stressed out worrying about us and how we're gonna survive and stuff like that in 40 years. So yeah, he wasn't happy, but now he is because you know, like I actually I applied to be a flight attendant. Now that was very random because I graduated from Spelman, which he had to pay. Well, he didn't have to, but thank God he paid for it. And he's like, I paid for you to go to Spelman so that you could become a flight attendant. So yeah, he was like not happy about that. But because I am a flight attendant, and the whole reason why I applied, I believe, is because God told me to, which is a whole nother story. But I have been able to like purchase a house, purchase a car, pay off all my student loans, write a book, start a business, Afoko Adventures, like everything that I can dream of, that I've dreamed of doing and accomplishing, I've been able to do it and travel the world on top of that. So now, after the fact, he's like, congrats, like I'm happy, and I wish that when you were younger, we would have invested more into your passions and in your talents instead of like trying to get you to do medicine and science and stuff like that. But I think that as as we're humans, we just do the best we can, whether it's parenting, pursuing our passions, whatever. All you can do is do the best you can. And I don't fault my dad for being passionate about wanting us to succeed, but also don't fault myself for going after my dreams so I wouldn't be miserable. And that 3 months my dad didn't speak to me, it was worth the Wahala. I mean, I'm one person, like I love my dad so much that obviously I don't want him to be disappointed or upset with me, but I'm telling you, sometimes, especially when it's African parents, they just need to see the product instead of the idea. You know what I mean? And he was kind of with me from the idea beginning, but then after he saw the ending, he was like, I'm proud of you. So
nice one.
He wants me to be the CEO of Delta now. That's all. And he also, I just told him because like this week my my ebook went to Audible, so it was approved as an audiobook, which I think is so exciting that I read the book out. And I sent my dad, I was like, Dad, I officially have an audiobook. He was like, okay, good, start writing your second book. So, he's always gonna
African parents will never be happy, man.
Yeah, but I like it. Like, push me, like, So.
Most definitely. That's dope. So you mentioned is it Afoko?
Afoko.
Afoko.
Afoko Adventures, yes.
Yes. Now the people that you brought to Jollof Fest in Ghana, were they from the Adventures, or were these just your friends that just decided to join you in Ghana?
No, those are Adventures. I didn't meet them until they got to Ghana. So we take people on group trips, tours of Ghana, and they have like the time of their life. And whenever they leave, they want to buy houses and stuff. Y'all saw me running around there because like
I did.
I'm telling you, that trip is really crazy. We want to make sure everyone gets like the full Ghanaian experience. And the Jollof Festival, what better way to get the full Ghanaian experience than eating some authentic jollof rice?
Nice. So this is where I bring our brother Ish into the fold.
Bruce.
If I'm not mistaken, this past December or January was the first Jollof Fest in Ghana, yes?
Yeah.
So now, unfortunately, you weren't able to join us. And Yao and myself were judges. We're not going to discuss the results or ever. But I just want to know
what country won again?
Hey. I'm gonna go back on mute. Thank you.
I mean, the party's too loud behind you, bro. I can't hear what you're saying, bro.
Yeah, it's all good.
Wait. Y'all had Jollof Fest in Ghana, and Ghana didn't win?
Exactly.
Can you ask that again? Can you ask
the thing is,
Nigeria won, bro.
No. The thing is, no. Y'all gotta understand, it's not just something you read on Instagram and laugh about. Me and Quick were judges, right? So we witnessed the debauchery and the trickery that occurred, son.
Wow.
Back to Ish.
And one of the judges was Nigerian too. So please.
She was Ghanaian Nigerian.
So how many Nigerians?
She took more of her Nigerian side than Ghana.
But how many Nigerian judges were there?
None.
It was
besides
her.
That one person.
It was just her. It was three of us.
How did Nigeria win though?
It's a long story.
It was three of you, and then she outvoted both of y'all.
No. That's not what happened. Because you don't know what country it's from when you eat it, bro. It's a long story. It's basically like this.
It was a blind test. It was a blind
It's
test.
a blind test, but we knew which one was the Ghanaian one. But Quake was basically like, Quake was like, this is Ghanaian one, y'all. But I was trying to be objective, right? And the thing was, the other girl was tricking me. It was in my ear doing some
Excuses.
Not excuses. You organized it. Why do you allow that trickster to come in?
If we're gonna be truthful, which one tasted better to you guys?
If I'm being honest, she did not cook Nigerian jollof. She cooked She cooked Ghanaian jollof, bro. It was Ghanaian jollof.
That is accurate.
Yes.
I would say that the jollof that she cooked isn't how Nigerians cook.
No. She tricked. That's what I'm saying. It's a trick.
The way that she cooks. She's a Nigerian. I believe she's a Nigerian that lives in Ghana. So what she does is she adapts her cooking style to where she currently stays. So she adapted her Nigerian jollof to fit Ghanaian taste standards or how Ghanaians ideally cook. But I knew the difference. I knew the difference because of the rice that she used. That's the main reason why I knew the difference.
Okay, because she used parboiled rice.
Hey, King Minnie.
Well, no, she didn't use parboiled.
If she used parboiled, that's been a dead giveaway.
The competition was in Ghana.
But she didn't use Jackson rice either. She used a different type of rice.
With predominantly Ghanaian judges, but they're saying it was rigged. How?
I'm not saying it was.
I'm not saying it was rigged.
Let me. It's not a paper article. I can tell you what happened. I was the swing vote judge. Right?
So you are the one that's you put a D Wade.
Minnesota. Quake told me this one is the Ghanaian one, y'all. You clearly can see that, and I was like, yes. And then another thing too, I'm gonna be honest. I don't eat red meat. Was kind of on the Ghanaian one. She had like rib or steak on it or something. I was like, why would you do this? But then that joint had chicken. And the thing was, the Nigerian girl, to Quake was saying she knew that one was Nigerian, but in my ear she was like, nah. I don't know. So I was like. She tricked me, bro. And then once the joint was over, she was like, yes, I knew it. So she did it on purpose to up the score.
But you're supposed to vote based on the taste. So if you voted for A, then it means it was...
No. Ghana won initially, and then it was a tie. Then they did a recast. You understand what I'm saying? Exactly. So that wasn't supposed to be it. Ghana was the winner. No?
Yeah, she
excuses are.
In all honesty, she pushed for the retaste because they were both her and Yao were unsure. Like two of the races tied, right? For I believe it was second or third place. I don't remember. But what they did was, okay, let's just go ahead and have you retaste all of them and redo it. And at the second vote, you know what I'm saying? That's when Ghana got second.
She tricked me.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay.
But anyways, the founder and owner of Jollof Fest, Ish, is here with us, and like I said, he did the first ever in Ghana, and unfortunately he wasn't able to be there with us this year. But with Corona happening and not being able to kick things off for another summer here in the States.
That's crazy, bro. That's crazy, man. You be running events right now, bro.
In a weird way, I see it as a blessing in disguise because I believe in this way you can always, find, as someone who likes to market, you can pick up on other market skills. You can see what's happening in the streets, all of that type of stuff. So during this time, how have you tried to, I guess, without giving away too much, further the Jollof Fest name, brand, strategy, all that jazz?
Well, so the one thing that is obviously everyone is aware has taken off is live streaming. I think that is just like something that, folks have been sleeping on. And I think with the quarantine, it's become quite clear that live streaming has massive potential and is, something worth doing. Something that I kind of have been exploring, but I think it's a little too late to do is sort of like try to do a drive-in event where people can actually just like come out into like a huge space and sit in their cars and have food served to them and listen to music and maybe put some fun things on a screen. But logistics logistics with like food is something that makes me like, very anxious. And so I feel like when we don't have enough time to prep for certain things, I just don't want to experiment with them. If this was like super early years, I would have just like tried that. But I feel like we're at a point where anything we do, we have to make sure that it's stuff that we are able to execute without any wahala. So, so yeah, those are the two things that have sort of like been on my mind. But I think at this point, we are leaning more towards like a virtual experience, and maybe just like one big one for all the cities instead of like, different ones in different cities. So, we can see all the different participants from the different cities, maybe the winners from the different cities from the last couple of years doing their thing. And then, maybe the judging will be based on how they prep it and how they present it rather than tasting, because obviously people will not be able to taste while watching. So that's kind of what we are looking at.
Okay. So presentation versus tasting.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yes. So I think in general though, like Jollof Fest is just one of the events you put on. You know what I'm saying? You've done multiple things. Every time I talk to you, you're talking to me about virality and going viral and virality, bruh. Having questions, just theorizing, bruh. But I'm gonna just say, in general, thinking about the amount of energy and creativity you put toward the event game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you find yourself trying to think about how to re-strategize over the long run for profitability? Thinking about how can I take these skills and put in a different area? How do I repackage? Because just, this summer, Jollof Fest, that's just one thing. But over the long game, you know what I mean? Yeah. Do you feel like, maybe now's the time to start trying to think up something different or,
Honestly, taking the Jollof Festival to the next level is definitely the dream. And I think this year, just not having to go to like 6 cities and be on the road and all that is giving me that opportunity to kind of step back a bit and try to figure out, how to kind of advance that ball when we finally have to go out there and do stuff. And just like you're saying, like there are questions that I'm asking myself. There are things that, do we need to be in 6 cities, right? That's like one of the big questions that, I've been trying to figure out. It's like, okay, how do we do it now that we've been in all these cities and people have had a taste of it? How do we do it maybe in, West Coast, East Coast, or South, East Coast, whatever, so that people who have experienced it and loved it might probably do a road trip or might probably, go the extra mile to experience it. Because the fewer festivals we get to do, the more we can actually concentrate on making, one or two of them bigger experiences, right? And that really is the goal. The really kind of complicated thing for me also is, and I think Borley and I were talking about this after the Ghana event. Part of what I'm really trying to figure out is also just like partnerships, because I feel like I'm not the only one. Yeah, I can do the marketing. Yeah, I can, flash some of these things out and execute them really quickly. But I'm also exploring partnerships with people that this naturally aligns with, who can also bring their game to it and elevate it. And the reason is sort of like a selfish one, because before all these festivals happened, I was playing in a band. I was playing music. And it's just one of the things that I truly, truly miss. Like the really cool thing with the festivals is, obviously the cultural experience and everything, but I'm not a cook. I'm not a chef, right?
Right.
And even with logistics, I feel like there are people that are better at logistics than I am. I'm just a guy with ideas who is very good at marketing, right? And so I want to figure out a way that I align with stakeholders that are very strong in these other areas or partners, and then bring all of that together so we can truly elevate this to a point where, it feels like a national event almost, So that is sort of this free period is giving me a little bit of, time to kind of reflect on that. I'm back, like I rehearse, I play my guitar every day now. I haven't played a guitar seriously for 2 years now, and I've been dying. It sounds so trivial till like you actually reconnect with, something that is also one of true passions. I'm getting to come to that place of revisiting just ideas. I love exploring ideas and trying to figure out how to make them become things, and so I'm just like looking at like fresh ideas. Recently joined like the WhatsApp thread for my high school's tech group, the Presec Tech group on WhatsApp. And I'm looking at all these conversations and just like, in my opinion, things that are like low-hanging fruits that can be done back home that haven't been done. And so it's just like collaborating with folks on little things like that I can do, get back to coding, all that fun stuff. So it's nice to sort of have the year a little less demanding than it usually is, just so I can like reflect on how to optimize when we get back, onto the playing field. But definitely, I feel like Jollof should come to a point where it's sort of like, the way people would go crazy about Afropunk, or the way people would go crazy about, Food and Wine Festival. I feel like, we definitely, there's a place for that. And I think we got to work towards that. So that's for sure.
So to ask both of you guys, Borley and Ish, whoever want to go first, with the way the current state is now, with both of your ventures, being able to essentially, both of your ventures crossing country lines or continent lines. Let's say outside doesn't open, right? Or it does. Would you still plan? Let's say it does open. Would you still plan to have your fest there and be present? And would you plan to also have your ventures scheduled and I guess take your deposits and plan whatever you can do, and all that.
Chai, fam bam.
As far as our trips, I think it's a little too early to tell.
Okay.
Because like in Atlanta, it's kind of opening up, but people aren't like having cookouts yet. Just kidding. Some people are. Some people.
I'm pretty sure they are.
But now, I mean, for us, I think we're just kind of just waiting. We're just waiting.
Just waiting. Okay.
Yeah, same. I think for me, I think it's too late to do anything physically.
In Ghana, specifically.
Oh, in Ghana. I think we will. As of now, as of now, the reports from Ghana are a bit conflicting because they are opening things up, but the numbers are going high. So it's a bit confusing, just in terms of like, and then it's also an election year.
That's true too.
So we technically, I think Ghana might be the only physical like live event we do this year, depending on how things go. But at least I think up till August we have some time to decide. But up till August, we are still seeing Ghana as a possibility.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So Borley, I got some more questions for you. I want to go back to a little bit to the Wahala. Ish, feel free to participate in this conversation. So Borley, let's talk about Boy Fog.
Boy Fog. Oh my gosh. I love that you actually read the book.
Oh yeah, no. If he's serious about it. If he says it, you see this guy's muted, they know he's going in. We are going to allow.
Let's discuss Boy Fog a little bit. I believe it's your made up term, yes?
I think that I've never heard it before.
Okay. So what happens in Boy Fog?
Okay, I think you guys can relate to girl fog. It's when so Boy Fog is when like I'm just so I don't know if y'all have a guy friend who no matter where y'all go, no matter what y'all do, y'all could be going to church, y'all could be going to the gas station. He's always trying to holler at somebody. It's like that's his memo, like or MO. He's just like, I'm just trying to holler at shorty. Like, it doesn't matter. and it clouds like everything else that he's doing. It's like he can't be serious or he can't be ambitious because like his goal is just to get girls. So when I was talking about having boy fog, there was just this time where, you know, for women, it's like pumped into us to like, if you have graduated from college, then when are you going to get married? And so, you know, you guys need to be wives. You need to be, are you dating? I want grandkids, all these different things. So I think it's understandable that I'm like, okay, well, when am I going to start dating someone seriously? You know, so I get into this, well, I'm saying some people get into this boy fog where they're just always looking to date. And I remember there was a time when I would go into like a house party and immediately scan the room and see who I would be interested in the room. And it was like, I just didn't want to be like focused on, you know, trying to date people, but I wanted to be trying to meet people to see like what we might have in common, what we could work on together, you know, just getting to know people as friends and not getting to know people with an agenda. I think at this age that we're in, a lot of us, people have like this agenda. Like people, as a woman, guys can say hello to me. If I say hello back, then they're immediately going to try to holler. So then I'm painted as a bad person if I don't say hi back, but I already know what your agenda is. You get what I'm saying? And it's like, where are the people who just want to say good morning? What?
Bold assumption, though. That's a very bold assumption.
I mean, okay.
Wow.
Is this like Atlanta? Is this like Atlanta?
I'm about to say, hello? Oh.
Hey, Borley, I want to say just hi. Hello. I don't have any motives, but I want to pick your brain off the line. So I am going to get in your DMs, but I am telling you now, in front of witnesses, that there's nothing more to this. Yes, it's for a good purpose. So
I'm a friendly person, but that's the thing. I'm very friendly. Like, y'all, just 2 days ago, this guy who came to do my air conditioning like a month or two ago just text me and be like, hey, I'm trying to get to know you more. Like, he called me. I was like, is something wrong with my air conditioning or something? I didn't answer because I was busy. But then he texted me and was like, hey, I did your air conditioning a couple months back. I'm trying to get to know you. I was just nice to him when he was at my house. I was like, do you want water? I have pineapples. Do you want pineapples? Because I'm a nice person. But that's what I'm saying. Sometimes, which I don't blame people, because if you like someone, I definitely think you should try to holler at them. However, sometimes, and maybe it is an Atlanta thing, sometimes you just want to say good morning.
It's not.
I'll be walking with my coworkers and they're telling me like, do you see how that guy's looking at you? I literally have to be like zone. I don't even look at people in the eye anymore. And that's why I'm saying sometimes you want to just be friends with people, you know, and they always have like, I mean, I'm not trying to be like disrespecting anyone. I'm just speaking from my own experience. 9 times out of 10, if you're nice to people, then I'm talking about even people, 50-year-old men, like, you know what I'm saying? Anyone that
I mean, if you give a man an inch, he's gonna try to take a mile. So
yeah,
and an inch is good morning. So
I think I honestly wanted to drag your comment. I really wanted to, but I think what makes it acceptable is the fact that you're saying it's your personality that's really driving a lot of it, right? Like, because you're being very friendly, you're engaging, you know what I mean, you're communicating.
You offered the man water. You offered him pineapple juice.
Yeah, if a woman offers me pineapple juice, I'm you know what I'm saying? Like, damn, water is customary.
Women do.
Like, all right, he's fixing your house, so he's like, all right, she got a house.
Women do this. Women do this to men too, though. Let's not, because you know, I believe I've had this syndrome as well, and I know some other guys where like they're like very nice guys and they're just friendly, but they mean nothing more because they're friendly with other guys as well. However, when a female or a woman is in a dynamic, they might read the signs as he might be into me, or man, this is a good guy. Let me take a mile. when this man is not minding you. Eh? You guys are habitual steppers, Borley.
It's not just for girls. It's for both people. It's just this mentality that, and it's because of the mentality, and it's called boy frog, girl frog. Now, if you're just not if you're not trying to holler at anyone, you're just going about your day. When someone says good morning to you, you say good morning back. Everything's normal. But whenever you're in this, I gotta holler at someone mood, if someone's nice to you, be like, let me jump on that. Guys and girls. So that's what boy frog is. I was just like, let me get out of the place of being just so thirsty. You know what I mean?
See, and that's why I love it when I go smack at girls and I don't ask for the number right away, and they're like, "Damn, that guy was real chill." Like,
it is like a surprise.
That sets it up for the second time. So that's the time I really go.
Well, Mitty, why are you giving them the juice, bro? They gotta wait for that, bro.
You should have left it without the second part. You should just
gave them the ice first before you pour the juice, bro. But gentlemen, are any of us guilty of girl frog?
I mean, I'd say yeah, because I remember there was a time where I used to be like, "Yo, where the hoes?" Where the hoes?
Ever in life or right now?
Nah, remember like when we was in college and all that, we'd be like, man, we go to the party, we'd be like, yo, where the girls at? Like, this is a sausage fest, man.
Yeah, no. That's like our standard mode. And it's so messed up because like sometimes you should be chilling with your boys, thinking nothing wrong, and one dude's like, man, where the girls at? Like, man, I'm mad at me. Like,
yeah.
Did you
we had times where we be in Cumberland basement just chilling in Frostburg and we just doing guys, and then one of the youngins walked past and niggas is like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go see what this is on, like,
I would say I actually have friends that like I've really thought about this like deeply. I'm like, yo, this dude right here, this is really messed up, but getting like hollering at babes is the only thing he's good at, y'all. That's his modus operandus. You know what I'm saying? It's like standard mode, gas station, grocery store, church let out.
That's his special talent.
Yo, like how can you constantly and he be winning and it's cool and it's all that, but I think like when you said it, that's like who I thought of. But me, like me now at this stage of life, hell no. But have I been through that before? Yeah, because I mean we ain't know no better. Like that's
of course. I mean,
I like to make the
go ahead, my bad.
No, I was gonna say I'd like to make the distinction between like dudes who go smack like right away, and then like you know what, they see that you're not interested, and they just be like, all right,
yeah,
I'm gonna fall back and let it be. Because there's some dudes who be like, they go smack, you deny them or something, and then it's like, oh, F that B, you know. Like I don't, she a bird anyway or something like that.
Did you see her response? Did you see her facial reaction to that?
Okay.
I don't think y'all can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with hollering at girls. Like I remember I went to Pittsburgh. I lived in Pittsburgh for like a year doing a post-bac program. And nobody hollered at me, and I was like, is there something wrong with me? And I went back to Atlanta for like homecoming, and it was back to normal. I was like, okay, it's not me, it's Pittsburgh. I'm telling you, it's like all of the guys, I think because it's like 10 Black people there, and all the girls, like the Caucasian women, I think, this is just from my experience, they're like in college, because it's a college little town. They're like trying to explore, do something crazy because they're in college. So they're talking to all these athletes and stuff. So the guys get hollered at, like, all the athletes. So they don't be hollering at girls. But I'm like, it was strange. But so I do appreciate a man who can step out there and just I remember, I think the first person who hollered at me in Pittsburgh was like a homeless man. And I was like, thank you, sir. And I was like, you're the first person. I like had a conversation with him. I was like, I'm new here. Like nobody's really
you was on Ish Osekre.
Ish Osekre.
Nah, not that. Not that. I love her, but I'm just very I'm personable. So I was just telling him I've noticed not that many people holler. He was like, well, you might be a little intimidating for I don't know. So I mean, I'm very friendly, but I will say that I think people should holler, but I don't think it should rule your brain. It shouldn't be something that you always think about. You know what I mean? I think that's when it gets unhealthy. So in my book, I was just saying, don't be so thirsty, men and women.
So, first of all, God put you in Pittsburgh to build character. Shout out.
No, my character.
Build character. Not saying you didn't have a good character, but when you go through this place like that, it builds character up.
It was a necessary experiment.
It was to humble you.
So now when you say that, 9 times out of 10 you get hollered at, okay, well, there was that 365 when it really happened too. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. It's cool. Yeah. But Ish, you have to chime in. But not only that, because you came up in Ghana. Yeah. And I feel like in Ghana, when I see the way that guys behave, I'm like, bruh, these guys go smack at everything. First of all, do y'all know what that means when we say go smack? Just approach women in every, walking down this, you can literally turn out of your driveway and it's a girl in the corner, you'll pull up and get out the car. And be like, hey, yeah. I feel like in Ghana, there's no holds barred. There's no limitations. These guys will holler any time of day. You know what I'm saying? You could be you can walk into a room this is my cousin, my girl cousin. Oh, how are you doing, sweetheart? You feel what I'm saying? So Ish, I want to hear your take too, bro.
Honestly, when you were saying this, that the thing that came to mind, it's actually a slightly different condition or atmosphere. But so I went to a boys' boarding school, right?
Hey.
And the thing with boarding school, essentially, it being a boys' school, is that you actually don't see girls at all. So anytime a girl happens to come visit our friend, on the weekend, everyone comes out, hangs out, just checking you, talking to your sister, and they all start whistling, they are, or if there is some lady walking by, going somewhere to one of the housemaster's houses or something, you hear everyone shouting, oh, 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 everyone just goes out. So you just get so excited just seeing a girl because you've gone weeks without seeing a girl. And I remember also just we had this, I think we had 2 lady teachers, and those classes were always packed all the time. Guys would skip other classes, but the lady classes were always packed. But yeah, you're right. You sort of take some of these things for granted till you kind of become a bit conscious of the fact that it's something that is annoying to women, and and you start paying attention, you take it for granted. So yeah, it happened a lot. It was just like a thing. You never, you just did it because that was just the way things were. Till I came to school when Barnard was right across from me, and then I started hearing all these feminist theories and all these things that women have to say, things that guys did that just weren't right, and so yeah, but that's Ghana for you.
I see, and I'm actually glad we're having this conversation, right? Because
it's a good perspective, though, bro.
It's good. Not only is it good perspective, but
I never thought of that. They went to all boys school, so that's you have a different drive, bro. Yeah. And it's interesting enough. It's mostly percent boys that I be around. You know what I'm saying?
But you have to remember this: in Ghana, I think things might have changed right now, but at least 10 years ago, most boarding schools were single-sex schools. It was either just boys or there are still a few schools that were mixed, but majority of the boarding schools were single-sex schools. I always regret that because I feel like my friends who went to mixed schools are way better at dealing with ladies, than those of us who went to single-sex schools. I feel like most of us took much longer to just sort of
develop that,
figure out how to, so that's just the overreaction comes from that place. At least that's kind of how I see it.
Respect. And what I was trying to allude to is that I think this conversation is great because in a two-part issue here or conversation I would like to have, Borley in her book brought up. Let me verify before I
Well, I just want to say while verifying that. Listen, my blood cousin went to Prosec, bro. And I will be in the house with him, and his Prosec boys will be with him. My older cousin, who's a girl, will be coming in and out of the room, and then the dude will turn to me like, she's so fine. He stayed in front of him, and I'll be ready to square. Like, bro, you sensible? You talking about my cousin? And he's sitting there smiling like it's okay. So thank God for that perspective. You just made me avoid knocking out some of my cousin's homeboys.
We've been starved, man. We've been starved. That's what it is.
Now I get it, bro. Preku, take it away. I get it now. Thank you.
So, Borley, you also discussed in your book young women approach, pretty much how young women should approach relationships, if I'm not mistaken. So, as a Ghanaian woman, yes, me and Yao have spoke on this on numerous occasions, where Ghanaian women like to be, at times, fake conservative, where they will behave as if...
Speak on it.
And keyword there is behave, as if...
they're holier than thou.
Dude, this is the most calculated I've seen you say a thing.
I know, right? He's measuring the words, right?
Because, Ish, when I'm going to shoot, I'm aiming between the eyes. I don't want to miss. I'm setting up the bullet. Because if she falters, I have to bang, you understand? So, anyways, yes. We have, in our experience with many Ghanaian women, seen that they like to play two sides of the coin. There'll be one way with a certain group of people, and then when you get around them, it's like a whole different total story. So in your book, you mentioned young women approach. I'm also wondering for you, during your boy fog, or or friendships with people with boy fog, have you seen them play two sides of the coin depending on who they're dealing with?
That's a good question. I really don't know.
Oh, come on. See? Ish. You see this?
Okay, so I was just on this, it was kind of like a blind panel with 3 girls and 3 guys. And we were talking about how we have a lot of great friends who they're single, and men are saying that there aren't any good women, and girls are saying the same thing about men. And they were like, look, they're your friends and you think that they're great, but we have to date them. So we see a different side of them that y'all don't see. So I was like, dang, that might be true, because it's different when you're in a relationship and then when you're in a friendship. And I really cannot speak for the whole association of Ghanaian women, or
speak for them. Come on.
I can't. All I know is, in this whole world, it doesn't matter if you're male, female, it doesn't matter where you're from. There are fake people, and then there are real people. And you just have to be the one to decide who you're going to surround yourself with. You have to use your own personal discernment. And my book is basically saying, always do the right thing, no matter how hard it is. So that's why I'm preaching to men and women. It's up to you to decide who you're going to date. I can't speak on, who you choose. You know what I'm saying?
Let me see if I understand the question. So are you asking, or are you saying that Ghanaian women tend to be different when they are can you clarify what you mean different with certain groups?
Thank you for asking such a lovely question.
I understand what he meant completely, but I like that you asked that.
I like the fact that Borley answered with the response to her book. But again, I'm going back to, as a Ghanaian woman and women, yes, you cannot speak for all Ghanaian women, right? But I'm asking, essentially, when you are dealing with either, whether it be a Ghanaian man or Nigerian for this matter, Kenyan, Ugandan, whatever the case may be, do you or have you observed Ghanaian women interact differently with someone from another country as they are with their, and how do you observe a different interaction? Of course, okay, let me back up. Everybody's different. Yes, we know that. Everybody's different, you know, different experiences, different countries, different continents, all that jazz. Fine and dandy. Essentially, I'm asking, when, from my experience and Mume's experience, we've seen Ghanaian women, how Ghanaian women interact with Ghanaian men isn't the same way they act with other men from other African countries.
How do you know? Wait, how do you know how they act with other men from African countries?
We know.
Trust me.
Okay, so can I think I've heard this theory before, right?
There we go.
On this soil, to be clear too, not back home, because I mean back home.
I can't speak for them.
Exactly.
Right.
But what we see of the ones
from here, my own personal experiences, own personal stories, and stories that I've been told where I can see with my own Kuroko eyes the behavior difference, and it does not add up to me, because with Ghanaian men, it's almost like they, again, back to Mitty's point, it's holier than thou. It's like, oh, the time.
I knew this is what was.
Let's do. But then she's speed walking, doing 100-meter race with another man from another country. How?
Okay, so let me say this. Right? Let me say
any difference.
Let me say this. I think I've heard this before, and
you've definitely heard it.
I think I also think that there might be similar things being said about Ghanaian men or even African men. So, okay. My theory.
Hey, my friend, stop your snapping. What's the meaning of that?
My theory here is this. I specifically, like, I have like a bunch of like East African friends.
Okay.
And you know, like East Africans, it's funny, I actually thought West Africans party the most. And then I started hanging out with East Africans and I realized, well, they party, but they also drink a lot. So it's a different kind of party, right? A different kind of fun. Yep. And one thing that I noticed was that, in my opinion, this whole thing has to do with like perceptions of how conservative we are. I personally think that when you hang out with, say, French Africans, especially, different kind of partying. It's a different, and even not partying. Let's just talk about socializing. It's a different kind of socializing. It's in my opinion less guarded, which is what you are talking about. I think we tend to be more guarded. We tend to be more conservative, and I think it has a lot to do with the Anglophone influence. I think it has a lot to do with church, the influence of the church on us and our culture. It has a lot to do with like even like boarding school culture. Even if you were raised here, if your parents went through that, I think they bring that to how you are raised. And so there tends to be this, I don't want to put it duality, I don't want to put it like two-faced, but I think we just tend to be a bit more self-conscious and tend to control ourselves in a way when we are around other people from similar, like if I'm hanging out with my boarding school friends or if I'm hanging out with other Ghanaians, and especially here where most Ghanaians tend to hang out in similar groups, like folks who go to church together or folks who, you know, went to, I live in the same community and they know if they do something, their mom is going to hear about it and stuff. They tend to be a bit more withdrawn because of all these like invisible eyes on them. Whereas if they cross to other parts of town where, you know, there isn't, which I think is a point you're trying to make, I think we guys, in my opinion, you know, even do the same without noticing. But it's sort of like, okay, there's no one here that is going to tell folks at church. There's no one here that is going to tell my mom back at home. There is no auntie here lurking, you know, whatever. So I can do more, or I can have fun, or I can be myself, whatever that means. But I think it goes back again to how we were socialized. I think there are influences that go all the way back to the roots and stuff like that. That's just my interpretation.
So
I'm just saying, answer. I respect it.
For somebody that just said Oh, I think I might have heard from this. That was an amazing breakdown, bro.
No,
Hey!
it's some of the.
Come on. So interesting enough. So we had some Liberian friends that came on our podcast, right? And we're explaining to them how, from our perspective, they're not conservative at all. They're very liberal, right?
Yeah.
What they were saying was because they were not colonized by the British, so they don't see a lot of stuff as taboo the way that Ghanaians do, and the way that we act or you know what I'm saying, project ourselves and things like that. So I think you're onto something. There's probably multiple elements of our culture that make us that way, even compared to Nigerians, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Because Nigerians, I think Nigeria and Ghana, the whole colonial thing is similar,
but different.
But the way we interact with each other is still kind of like, you're not gonna get that facade so much. Where it's like, I'm putting up that granted, you still have people who do it, but like it's a thing that you can just kind of read very quickly, and you tell them like, "Yo, cut the bullshit," like, and then they'll be like, "All right, you got me," and own up to it. But for me, what I see is like with Ghanaian girls, it's like they put the facade up, you call them out on their bullshit, and they double down, on the bullshit. And I think it could be because I feel like Ghanaians, y'all are very traditional, like super strict with tradition. So I think that could be why.
Before you continue, maybe not to cut you off.
No, that's all I had to say.
There's somebody who actually wants to talk about tradition on this podcast, but I'll talk to you guys about it offline. But that's just a heads up.
We're ready to have that conversation, bro.
Yes, but
I think he's right though, because I feel like at this my age, son, like I don't facade nothing, bro.
Yeah, I'm not having.
And people look at me like I'm like the Ghanaian wild boy, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like what?
Like, but you guys still have the benefit of growing up here much longer, like especially during your formative years,
Yeah. So
you like we used to get punished for saying the wrong thing. We used to get punished for talking too much. We used to get punished for not like you know all the rules in boarding school. You had to have a belt that matched the color of your shoes. Your hair had to be cut. People always ask me, why is my hair whatever? Why do I always wear torn jeans? I was like, yo, that's because of 4 years of boarding school. I had to wear those khaki pants and white shirt with a tie every, you know what I'm saying? It's like, fuck that, man. Like, how is that? And like my mom always like my sister sent me a text the other day. They were she went shopping with my mom and they saw like this whole super torn jeans, and they took a picture of it and sent me, and they were laughing because they were like, if I was there, I would buy that. And I was, because I'm like, yo, I'm so over all these boarding school rules and just like, but that is the consequence of all this stuff that you guys are talking about. We used to get punished just for expressing ourselves, just for talking, just and so.
I agree with you because I share on this platform too, where we getting. I used to get in trouble for quote unquote talking back, and I was just asking questions, right? Just trying to understand. So,
just seeking clarity. It's like, yeah. Yeah.
But Borley, I know we said a lot, so I don't know if you wanna.
I agree, and one I thought about was, I think because we all probably have like similar, one thing I've realized is that really like there is a lot of diversity in how Ghanaians are raised, but I will say like a common denominator is respect, right? So I think that if you're gonna date like a Ghanaian woman and she's raised a certain type of way, I will say like even me, how I relate to like my Nigerian girlfriends, I'm a American Ghanaian. Like, I'm an American girl who was raised in a Ghanaian household, but even how we act and how it's like, if we have like other friends that maybe like are American, it's like we have a still understanding because you know what I'm saying? So maybe it's more so like they know that how they were raised and what is the standard. And so they're gonna maybe try to live in that standard.
I'm Nigerian. I wasn't raised the same way they were raised.
But that's the thing. But here's the thing. But you can say, like, if you have, like, African American friends as opposed to maybe a Ghanaian friend, you will probably have more in common with that Ghanaian friend in the way that you're raised than an African American friend. So that's so that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, it might not all be the same, but the premise is the same. And so, I mean, but I can't speak again. Like, I have no idea how Ghanaian girls treat you guys. All I know is how I be treating these men like a king, like a prince. You know what I'm saying? They be leaving wholehearted in love. So.
Hey, hey, Borley, hold on. I'm gonna send you this survey, man. I'm trying to find out, you know, how you really be treating these brothers.
I'm like, yo, I don't fake the funk. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
Excuse me, unlike y'all, or
it's a real questionnaire. So, you know, I'm gonna find out how authentic you really are about this. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
My issue is not with, like, being conservative is okay. Like, it is what it is. If that is truly your core, the center of who you are. But my thing is that I found that me being somebody that's, like, I used to be more guarded, more, you know what I'm saying? Let me be calculated. I don't care no more. So I'm like, not that I don't think I'm a wild person there, but just being a little unfiltered. You know what I mean? Like, even me now, if I doing something like this, I'm like, oh, you know what I mean, or whatever. Like, my issue is with people who look at me like I need to tone it down, or I should present myself in a specific way, and they do the same thing, just not presenting. You understand what I'm saying? That's where I have my beef. That's where my beef is founded from. But if you are, but
think about it. We have Caucasian counterparts that are, like, in high school, they were the most wild people, but you would never know. Still to this moment, you would never know because all their Instagrams are private. They be having their parents will be drinking with them, but you would never know because it's very private. So I don't think there's anything wrong with having a private life. I mean, I feel like you guys are saying there are some girls who act conservative, but they be at a party, like, wilding out, like, going crazy.
No, that's not it. The thing is, what I think we're trying to speak to.
It could be part of it, though.
No, it's not it. That's not it. It's not it at all.
Sure, that's not part of it. No, I feel you. That's not the reason.
If we're in a session right now where it's like a powwow session, right? I'm gonna say powwow, like maybe 4 people. And everyone's like revealing personal things about themselves. Like, you're really like a team bonding experience. There will be the Ghanaian girl in there that's like, oh, y'all did that? That happened to y'all? That's crazy.
But then it's
never happened to me.
Okay.
And it's like, but then it's like, the thing is, because the community is small, you've already heard things already that has happened to her. So it's like,
yes.
Right.
Boom.
Why are you putting this facade for?
I get it because I know people who have told me, like, we're like, you know, I mean, I put a lot of information in this book. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm kind of like an open book. And I know people who be like, oh, you know, you should just, you know, not talk so much. I mean, I think it's just cultural. I mean, all I can say is I really think that it's just cultural. Like, people just, you know, I mean, I can't speak. I don't know. I don't know. I talk probably too much. So I wish I had a little bit of some of what they have. But I don't know. I think it's cultural. And I also don't think it's anything wrong with being private.
It's not nothing wrong with it, but it's like, if me and you, that's the thing where it's like, all right, be genuine for once. When it comes off disingenuine is the part about it that's kind of annoying. Like,
yeah, I don't.
When we've spoken on something, we're all like getting real personal, like, you know, and then you just come off disingenuine about what's going on with the topic.
But Ghanaian men,
I'm sorry.
Ghanaian men, do you think that it is encouraged for us to be open and genuine in growing up?
It's not, but that's the point we're making.
That's a good point.
You know?
So how can you grow up if you grow up not being encouraged and now you're just happen to be in the
Okay, but here's my counter to that, right? Because me saying the conservative is not in just a romantic type situation. It could be just life. You understand what I'm saying? Where it's like Mitty saying we're being candid, we're sharing personal stories or whatever the case may be, maybe personal struggles or whatever the case may be. And again, there are some Ghanaian men who are not. And let me say this: it's not only Ghanaians that have this type of behavior, right?
Yeah.
Of course,
what we're saying is that
we're Ghanaians
within our culture, and you as a Ghanaian woman, me and Yao can say that we've seen this quite frankly too often. Where, and even Mitty has just spoke on it, where it's almost as if you will be like, no, it's almost like this can never happen to me. This is I'm above this. I won't stoop to this level, whatever. But meanwhile, there's proof and evidence that this is exactly how you are. This is exactly how you move, not from just one person, but multiple people. And it's not. And again, I'm not taking it just in a romantic sense. I'm taking it just life as a whole. So it's almost like you're trying to cover your tracks in a certain group of people, but with another set of people, it's like watching front page news. Like it's no information.
So maybe another question we need to ask ourselves is, if this person has the ability to be this way in certain spaces, why are they not being that way in this space? What do you do when they become that person? What do you do when they admit that thing? What do you do when they say, okay, I tried to get that loan and didn't get it, right? So maybe they are guarded because of what people do with that information, right?
What Ghanaians do with that information.
Or what those group of friends. Maybe it's, maybe they're protecting themselves from gossip, or they're protecting themselves from being laughed at, or they're, people that say, oh, we need this information to encourage you and be there for you, but actually do not, right? So maybe there's a bigger issue here, which is that, some people process certain information differently, or different cultures, and so people are more comfortable sharing those things or being those kinds of people or whatever in those other situations than these situations. So maybe there's a bigger picture that kind of creates this whole thing and complicates it.
I think perception is a huge thing, like in the Ghanaian community.
Yep.
Yes, I like that positive spin, bro. I like the positive spin, but my experience with it hasn't been positive to this point. So I'm gonna go ahead. I will reject your hypothesis, but I like that though. I like it because it's you're judging me, and then you're acting worse among it's just not.
If you know about it, then why don't you call them out?
Yeah,
and that happens. And like Mitty said, they double down.
Because we're in PG County, and we'll get down like that. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Borley.
You want a survey?
What's your ideal man?
Hey!
This guy just come out of nowhere, change the whole
Oh, snap.
My ideal man. This is gonna sound like shallow, but y'all ask me. Like, I'm sure y'all's probably shallow. I be like in the boardroom with God. I would say definitely somebody who is like tall and fine and muscular. Like I could climb up like a tree.
Hey.
And also,
Wow.
Yeah.
Go.
This is what I want. So also somebody who loves God so much, who like wants to worship God, and who's like, I don't have to like pull them, along, but they're like pulling me. You know what I'm saying? Like about that life.
Borley. So how do you and Goliath manage to wear off the temptation of the bass boost?
By the grace of God.
Hey, God is not going to be in the sheets with you.
What if he's anointed fully, powerful? He's pulling you even fast that you have to change your Nikes. You know what I'm saying? But he's not. You can't climb up like a tree. You just climb up like a small step. That's
the thing is, it's like, this is what I would prefer, but if God tells me, like, we're like, this is your husband, and he's like,
he's 5'2".
4'9", I would be like, okay, God, I trust you.
I love it. I love it.
Okay. That's real. That's real. That is a very excellent answer. If you really feel that way, that's
how I feel, because if you think about it, like, we're only on this earth for a short amount of time, and God really has our best interest. Like, he's all knowing. So even if I said, no, God, I passed on this one, I'm gonna go date this guy because he's like 6'5" and muscular and chocolate and has like a nice beard and stuff.
LeBron James.
so he was like me.
It sound like, right?
Exactly, like, kind of has a mixture of all of y'all together.
Hey, I'm not chocolate, Borley. I am caramel.
Shut up.
Mixture, like,
it's okay.
Quake is the only treat on this cup.
Yeah, it got Quake's height. You got what? Y'all chocolate.
Yeah, all of that. Your comedy and Mitty's.
What's
Hold
on. I didn't hear that part. Mitty's what?
Your aggression. Like,
there you go.
So you like
alpha?
Aggression?
No, I actually don't like
alpha male.
Yeah, it's like, it's too much, you know.
Like,
sometimes, but it's good to have a little, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to be like.
And she like that King Mitty alpha male. You're not a beta like some of these, like Bobby Chong.
I cannot date anybody who will let me like walk over them. I can't. I'll be miserable. So yeah, so I trust God, and that's what it is. What it is.
But let me tell you something.
I'm getting flustered over here, man.
The reason God wouldn't give you Goliath is because he knows Goliath will make you stumble and he will just make you bust it wide open. That's why sometimes the things we want from God, he doesn't give us. So because he knows if he gives me Meg the Stallion, I will stumble.
So when you see Goliath, even run to extra climb, run.
I'll run to David.
Exactly. David was not tall.
My middle name is Davido.
Oh, y'all funny, man. Y'all got me over here crying tears straight, bro.
Okay. So I wanted to take the pod into another direction. I wanted to get you guys' take on this. I saw a little bit of conversation about this on socials. Do y'all prefer hard plantains or soft plantains?
Soft plantains.
Let me tell y'all something. This quarantine I've been cooking, right? The plantains that I've got you guys' reaction. Come on. The plantains that I wait for it to turn so dark that the joint been making my stomach hurt. I'm like, yo. I think I need to cook it earlier because I want it soft and sweet, bro.
Yeah, I like it soft.
Like so.
I mean, every once in a while, I think I like them hard, but like that's like 1 in every 10 times, probably. Maybe 1 in every 6.
There's never a reason to have hard plantains.
There's
like never a reason.
Sometimes, but just
you're a terrorist. There's never a reason.
I don't know. I just do.
I guess it also depends on like what you're having it with, because I know I like it soft when I'm having my red. But if I'm having like my spinach stew with yams and plantain, I like the plantain to be just a little harder than it would be if I, have it with the red. So,
slight subtle difference.
Yeah.
Borley, have you been like in the mix in Accra, like with your Ghana family, like deep in there?
Yeah, like what?
I mean, I haven't.
Haven't?
No, I mean I have, but like, some of my mom's family's like from Jamestown and stuff. So
I go see my family every single time I've been in Ghana. I've only been one time and I haven't seen them, and I felt so horrible. Yeah, I be going up to Nungwa every single time.
Where's Nuai?
Oh wait, you're from Nungwa?
Yeah, I thought you knew that.
No, I knew you were Ghana, but I didn't know where.
I'm pretty sure we talked about this before. But yeah, I went to Nungwa. It's like 30, 45 minutes.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I saw something through Sammy's background.
Wait, what?
His sister was there. You didn't see that?
Yeah.
It's what tribe are you? You Ghana?
Yeah, I'm Ghana. I'm from.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before.
Hold on, y'all from the same tribe?
Nungwa is next to Teshin.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was, literally next to each other.
Nice one. Happy for yourself. Okay.
What's some? Just this my man is the. So like, it's a lot of people at home right now. All we have is the internet. You know what I'm saying? We know Borley is already popping on the social media. You know what I'm saying? We know your resume. But for the listeners out there, we have our listeners come from many different places and have many different ambitions. So what's your viral advice? You know what I'm saying? Some tips, some keys for some of the people at home that might be thinking about, let me start this creative endeavor. Let me start this platform. Let me do something. You know what I mean? While people are hopping on Zoom, like what's some tips, some starter beginner keys?
Honestly, I think it's just be yourself. I think we are in an era where people actually appreciate just raw people being themselves rather than like being too scripted or overly polished, because people are done with fake. People just want things as they are. So I feel like sometimes people spend so much time and energy on like perfect, like it has to be perfect, and stuff like that. And the funny thing is that is actually the turnoff now, like, because people feel like it's so calculated and stuff like that, which is also good news for people who don't have like all the production equipment and all, they don't have a perfect studio and all that. It's just like, just find a simple corner in your room or a space and just do your thing. But go live, definitely. I think live streaming is kind of where it's at. And if you feel too conscious of yourself to go live, then just record it and then load it and, stream it live, But I think, that's just be yourself. That's be yourself. And then ideally, whatever you are doing online, just let it be something you are passionate about. Because the thing that I find with passion is that you don't care if 2 people saw it or if 100 people saw it. You don't care if if it's you just do it because you love it, and that is how it grows, and that is what is important. People really know when you are faking. People sense when you are being insincere. So don't even waste your time trying to be something else. Just be yourself and do something that you enjoy and have fun with, and don't be too obsessed with the numbers. Just do it. It's just going to add up eventually. Someone is going to pick it up and share it with someone, just one thing, and that could change the whole game for you. So that's pretty much it.
I agree with that. So guys, we about to round up here. Greatly appreciate Borley and Ish, you guys coming on. You know what I'm saying? You guys are dope, and Borley, I think this was much needed after 2+ years. You feel me? So before we get out of here, Fox News reports that says that the CDC now says coronavirus does not, in quotation, does not spread easily, end quotation, via contaminated surfaces. Well, how do y'all feel? Do y'all trust it? Do y'all believe that you still gonna wear gloves, or what's up?
Yeah, I mean, it's a new virus. We still learning so much. So
I think it's highly contagious via like human contact, right? And so if they have tested it and it says that it is not contagious by like surfaces as easily, then I think that eliminates one thing, and we need to know that we need to keep quarantining and keep social distancing. I think I mean, I trust it, but you never know what you can trust these days. So.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think, yeah, like like Naja said, obviously, social distancing. When you said that, the first thing that I thought of is just like the amount of money that has been spent on wipes just because of services. And I'm just like, I've been looking at the stock market a lot lately and just looking at the kinds of companies that are making money or the products that are selling and stuff. So I think it's really interesting. I'm also waiting to see how that impacts the market in terms of like which companies suddenly start losing, interest just because of that observation. But yeah, like, we are learning new things about the virus now. So that's it's good to rule that out. We'll see what else they rule out.
Okay.
I would say,
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I had this conversation with my brother earlier today, and he was saying his major problem is that they've given us so much misinformation by this point in time, so people will be inclined to not believe it, right? Mm-hmm. So for example, they were first saying don't wear masks, and everywhere across the world wore masks. You understand what I'm saying? So if you're now telling me, but they were saying wash your hands, right? Yes. You wash your hands because of something, you might touch a surface or a doorknob. Masks help you person to person if you're trying to be distant. You understand what I'm saying? Yes. So they sent us in the wrong direction. So then you look back and you're like, oh, how come it spread so rapidly in USA versus other countries? Even in China, they wear masks. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So because of misinformation, people will be inclined to not believe it. But from everything I've read, I'm not a doctor. We have to ask Borley's parents. But like from what I've read and watched and understand, yes, it is mostly person-to-person contact, airborne, all that. So the most important thing we do, stay out of social settings where there's a lot of people indoors. And if you go indoors, if you're in a place where everyone has a mask on, that's the safest place you can be. And being separate.
And I'll add to Yao's point where it's like, with China, at least, and they're wearing face masks, they've already dealt with SARS and H1N1 before. Yes. So they already kind of have a protocol to go off of. Americans aren't used to something like this. Like, I don't even think other parts of the world are used to it. Like, we weren't ready for something like this. So, hey, look at that light. It just hit me right now. Hey.
I'm a little bit shocked by this because if I read the title again, right? The title says, let me go back to it real quick. I lost the article. God damn it. It said the CDC now says coronavirus does not spread easily. That's the context where I took from it. Easily contaminated surfaces. So how am I, like, of course, you know what I'm saying, germs are everywhere, right? So people that are germaphobes, of course you're going to have your hand sanitizer and all of that. But, when we first started coronavirus, when we first saw coronavirus, we saw people coughing, spitting on elevators, metro, all of that type of stuff. So at this point, just like y'all said, I'm not sure exactly what to believe, because then at this point now, it almost comes off like are we sure that the masks are going to keep us as safe as possible? You know what I'm saying? Are we sure that wearing gloves or even social distancing at this point is going to keep us as safe as possible? Or is it something that the minute that somebody's contagious, we all just going to be victim, depending on what's happening.
If someone coughs spit on the surface, you're going to get corona. But the issue is that people are coached to stay home if you don't feel well. So it's mostly asymptomatic people spreading the virus. So those people are spreading it through breathing and like conversations. Or, I mean, if they touch something, yeah. But that's less likely if you're wearing a mask. You understand what I'm saying? So
but those people don't even know they have it.
Exactly.
So why? Mask,
exactly. An asymptomatic person ain't going to be caught, right? So, but if someone coughs on the surface, that's very dangerous, bro.
I think a huge issue is that people know they have it and they are still going outside.
That's
like that's a lot more people than we actually know. I know somebody who I'm pretty sure she was going to work and she wasn't feeling well, and someone had just passed away in her family who had it. Her boyfriend they lived together, tested positive. Her child was getting like sick or something like that, but she was going to work. She didn't want them to stick the thing in her nose, so she didn't get tested. And she worked at Walmart. She works at Walmart. Yes, and then I know someone who was also in the house, like with someone who had it, and she was like their primary caregiver, and she was like in the middle of a move, like moving, you know what I'm saying? Like another couple who was both hospitalized had it, and they also were in the middle of the move, because I think while yes they have it, I think certain things, it's like life still has to go on, so that they're kind of like being cautious. But there's some people who, I don't know if y'all saw the video of this guy who had it and he wouldn't do something, and he was like, I'm about to cough on everyone in here, like threatening the hospital workers, and he had it. Like some people are just really being reckless.
That's foolish.
Very foolish. Very foolish. Well, I appreciate you guys' thoughts today. This was a great discussion. Like I said, Borley, we appreciate you honoring the invite.
Hey, Borley, good morning.
Maybe we could do this again. Ish, you already know what time it is. You know what I'm saying. We're bound to talk to you again sometime soon. So
you already know. But if not for this quarantine, we'll be doing our joint. You know what I'm saying? Man, we had plans for the year, bro. We had plans. My birthday.
It's always fun to hang with you guys, man. I appreciate you for having me back again. This was fun, so thank you.
No doubt. Great conversation. Y'all both are dope. Y'all want to give them socials and where they can follow y'all at, and Borley specifically for you, where they can cop the book at and listen to the
or anything upcoming.
So my book Worth the Wahala is now available on Audible. You can follow me on Hey Borley. It's Borley on Instagram. And yeah, everything else is there. But I just want to say thank you guys so much. I'm proud of you guys for being consistent and for being a unit. And thank you guys for what you're doing and like all these conversations and the platform that you're providing for all of us, you know, who are trying to, you know, make small moves. So thank you guys. And I hope I didn't embarrass my family, and, you know.
You didn't. You made them proud.
No, you are a sincere person. It's really nice. That's your secret sauce.
It's always important to make sure you didn't embarrass your family.
Yo, I've never heard that before.
As Africans, we gotta make sure you don't embarrass your family.
That's sincere. Yo, that's.
Hey, Borley, what if the Africanist would like to do a sip and paint and ATL like we do one? Could you help us? Get that on the copper?
That's Osekre. I'm the queen of helping. So yeah. I helped him with the Atlanta Jollof, so I'll do my best. And yeah, it'll be fun. Come through.
Okay. We'll see what happens with Rona.
I mean, Atlanta's open, so
I'm not going to ATL.
I mean, you didn't introduce your nephews and nieces and the babies.
Okay. Hey, say hello. This is my little niece. She's 18. I'm older. You are 17 months.
Oh, that means she can definitely talk to us, but she's trying to be shy.
Yeah, she don't want to sit down. She want to move. She want to go.
That family got to fix his signal, man. His phone.
Hey, bro, I just had a cookout over here, man. Have mercy on me, bro.
That means 12 family members on your Wi-Fi.
You feel me? You know?
I'm not talking about his signal. I said the quality of the camera.
Hey, buy me a what you call it? A MacBook or something. You know what I'm saying?
I got you, B.
You got that Cali money. Let me hold something, man.
Thank you, bro.
From my mouth to God's ears.
Amen. Let me hold something. Say hi.
Did she say uncle? Did she say uncle yet?
Nah, bro. All she do is come to you when you eating, man. You know, she love to eat.
I get it.
Say hello, Africanist and Osakre and Borley.
Ish, where can I find you at, bro?
Osekre's Vibe, Jollof Festival, Afropolitan Insights, and Ankara Bazaar. Facebook, Instagram.
All of them.
Hey.
This guy, man. This
You-
guy.
He's so smart, y'all. He's so smart. You should have been asking him who his ideal woman is.
Oh yeah,
No,
bro,
I don't have
bro,
to ask him that because
brother,
I see him in the DC club.
Hold
I
on,
see
bro.
him in the club in DC. I know his ideal
Hey,
woman. I don't have to
hey,
ask him
I'm sure I'll be back again. I'm sure.
Ish. No. I'm gonna send you the survey too, bro.
Bruh,
But
I've literally, listen,
but, hey,
I
was that you
interrupted
that
him
submitted
doing
it?
boy pong.
I did, but
More than
I
once.
didn't finish it. So
You
can you send me another one?
Now you can just click the link. It'll start another one.
Okay.
That joint is kind of long.
I know it's
I mean, it's not long, but it's just not like a 5-minute, like, you know.
Yeah. It's but you know, but guess what? It's gonna make for a good book. King Mitty, you know, still waiting on yours, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did I say? Yeah.
I saw that thing. I was like, dog, this is nigga asking me to take the SATs again.
Oh. Yo, this dude is wild. You know, can I give a shout out to DJ Earthquake and Y'all on the Moon, you know, for their because I sent that joint, and like I told y'all dudes, man, it is lengthy. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? It's for a good cause. Because I really need real, live, thoughtful insight and responses. And these brothers produce. I'm not talking about yes, no. I'm talking about these brothers went in. I'm like, damn. So guess what, man? Y'all in the book, man. Y'all in the book in several
I
chapters.
appreciate that, bro. I'm ready to be immortalized, bro. I'm ready. Like King Krumah. I'm ready to be immortal.
I'm not even joking. Like y'all
I'm serious too.
Y'all had quotables.
Hopefully this gets me a life. Thank you.
Oh, don't worry.
I'm trying to be popular like Borley or Ish one day. You feel me? So I hope your book can rise me up.
Borley, please. I need your insights.
I'm gonna do it right now.
You too, brother Ish. Because you are too cool. Hamid, help me out.
I got you, son.
My man.
You can find us, Africanist Pod, on both Instagram and Twitter. But with that being said, we are out. Really appreciate y'all for tuning in. Peace and blessings to all of you all. Hope you all are staying safe and quarantining until we are open. But we out.
All right, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Is that Fenty Beauty?
It's my sister's black soap wash.
Black what?
Let me tell you something. One of your sisters, I don't know who.
That's my